I've had some people ask me since I retired, what's the greatest goal you ever kicked? And I did win a goal of the year for a different goal, but this one that day against North, probably the degree of difficulty was probably the hardest.
Allcroft and Pickett. What a match-up that is to watch. Lloyd and Archer, here's another one. Lloyd's in the front spot. Steps around as McCurry. His hands are beautiful to Lloyd. He's on his favoured left foot. Matthew Lloyd rarely misses these. He's not going to start missing now. Great goal.
Well, it was one of the strongest rivalries I was ever involved in around that period. Late 90s, early 2000s. North and Essendon really had a dislike for each other. I remember North used to say, they used to think the boys up the road that had everything, and they were out of Arden Street not having too much. And I know they used to use it as a mental thing against us, or to build themselves up to play Essendon, to say, look, those guys up this road, silver spoons in their mouths, that sort of thing. But I think they'd really bullied us through the 97, 98 period. We got to early 99 and thought enough's enough, and a lot of us have started to get 50, 60 games under our belt. I remember Wayne Carey was still at the peak of his powers that day. We played someone in front of him and someone on him, and he still was able to kick 10 goals. And I got Glenn Archer that day and felt that I was getting him close to goals, and I was a bit too tall for him in the one-on-one situation. So it was a bit of a shootout there. Very open game, a lot different to what it is now. So it's probably one of the most enjoyable games, like the 2001 comeback game that I ever played in.
Of the ground, Long pierces the handball back on out here towards Mercedes. His kick into the forward line is a gem to Lloyd. Number 18 for Essendon has kicked 2. That's good. He has got it through. That's 3 to him. It's a shootout between the 18s.
Sort of crept up on us that year. We obviously went out in the first week of the finals of 98 to North Melbourne. 99, I was still like a young group, myself and Lucas and Blumfield, Carousella, Heffernan. We were still finding our way around that 50, 60 game mark, and before we knew it, we're on top of the ladder, and a lot of people thought you can win the flag this year.
Game number 50 off the bench, gets a goal.
Probably our maturity, in hindsight, when 99 finals came around, we got ahead of ourselves. It was one that got away, probably still that year is it haunts me the most, how we didn't win a premiership, because we were probably the best side in it, although we lost a few key players in Hurd and Lucas. But that day did make us feel like we could beat anyone after that.
Players on Blumfield, on the bounce. Lloyd regains his footing. Out of the air!
What a goal of the year!
I've had some people ask me since I retired, what's the greatest goal you ever kicked? And I did win a goal of the year for a different goal, but this one that day against North, probably the degree of difficulty was probably the hardest. People charging down on you and kicking one out of mid-air, having to hit the ball at the right point from 15, 20 metres out and having it go through was probably the greatest goal I did ever kick in terms of difficulty. But Jason McCartney had his shoulders down and I crashed into his back and gave him a bit of a fist pump, and Jason, just the eyes just started rolling and inside his head, and obviously he was pinching and punching me and all sorts of things after that. But it was a great battle, great rivalry, and great that we got the points that day.
7 goals straight, Matthew Lloyd. Now look at this, he was on the deck, crunched, out of the air, outside of his left foot, straight through the middle. You won't see anything like that again.